Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday morning, September the 12th. Francine has already been downgraded to a tropical depression over the southern half of Mississippi this morning. Came ashore late yesterday as a strong Category 1 hurricane over the central coastline of Louisiana. Of course, caused some tremendous rainfall and hurricane force winds throughout much of the southern part of Louisiana. It is currently spreading some heavy rainfall all the way to the Florida Panhandle. This is the latest radar loop from the College of DuPage Weather website, and here you can see kind of the circulation of the low-level center right here over the southern part of Mississippi. Again, already downgraded to a tropical depression, maximum sustained winds around 35 miles per hour, and heavy rain spreading all the way across the western panhandle of Florida to the east and all the way up into the Tennessee Valley to the north. Again, it came ashore somewhere in the central coastline area late yesterday of the state of Louisiana and has slowly weakened in the overnight hours over land, which is typical of tropical systems once they move out away from the supportive nature of the sea surface, very warm sea surface temperatures. It will not penetrate much farther to the north, as we've discussed early this week, due to very strong upper level ridging that has set up over the southern part of Canada. It basically will grind to a halt over the western Tennessee Valley, and then we'll start to look to the South Atlantic coastline early next week for possible reformation of low pressure right in this area during the early part of next week. More on that over the next few minutes. Well, here's the latest positioning by NOAA's National Hurricane Center of all the tropical systems right now in the Atlantic Basin. This is the location of Francine, again a tropical depression right now. It weakened in the overnight hours after landfall from hurricane Category 1 to tropical storm status, and now is classified as a tropical depression. Again, maximum sustained winds about 35 miles per hour, still producing some heavy rainfall. It can go only about this far to the north before it basically grinds to a halt over the western part of the Tennessee Valley, all thanks to just tremendous high pressure to the north that is influencing the upper air pattern, and that in turn influences how far to the north this system will go. There is not a tropical system in this hatched area right now, but this is the area of interest, and I totally agree with the Hurricane Center in placing this right here, because I do believe there will be a low pressure area forming right in this region of tropical nature, by the way, during the early part of next week, and then that'll try to advance to the north, but it'll face the reluctance of this strong high pressure to the north and east to give up its ground. So any movement to the north will be a struggle by this low pressure system during the middle part of next week into the latter part of next week. It's possible that rainfall associated with this system does eventually make its way into the mid-Atlantic region, let's say perhaps by the middle of next week, if not then the latter part of next week, but it will be a slow moving system. Meanwhile, there are other systems out here to monitor over the next several days as we head towards the second half of the month of September, which is liable to be quite an active period throughout the Atlantic Basin tropical region. Well, let's stick with the Canadian model run. Again, it's had a pretty good handle on this tropical situation. Here we begin the day here on Thursday, September the 12th, with very strong ridging, high pressure ridging over the southern part of Canada, shown on these 500 millibar height anomaly maps as orange. The blue represents an upper level low. This is the upper level low, and reflected at 500 millibars associated with the tropical depression Francine, which again right now is over the southern half of Mississippi. This is a major player here. Watch what happens as we move forward. This system can only go so far to the north because of this tremendous high right in this area right here. This is what we call a blocking pattern in the upper part of the atmosphere when you have a kind of an omega shaped flow of air. This mimics the omega shaped letter of the Greek alphabet. When winds blow like this, that's a blocking pattern And all thanks to this very, very large high pressure system over southern Canada. As a result, this system can only reach, say, the western part of the Tennessee Valley before its northward progression grinds to a halt, and then we'll watch what happens right here during the early part of next week. In fact, let's move forward here. Here we go. That's the northernmost extent the remnants of Francine will be able to move to. Right here, the western part of the Tennessee Valley. And then you start to see kind of a stretching out of this upper level low. And right in this area right here, there very well could be low pressure development at the surface during the early part of next week. Again, this is the area we will watch it. Look at this high. It is still very strong, anomalously strong. These are the, again, 500 millibar height anomalies. And this is unusually strong for this time of the year with that high pressure up there. Even a system here along the South Atlantic coastline will have trouble pushing to the north. And we'll see with the surface forecast maps in the next segment here, it will be a slow push to the north if in fact it ever can make it. It probably won't reach the Mid-Atlantic region until at least the middle of next week, maybe even not till the latter part of next week. Here we go now into Monday and Tuesday of next week. Still very, very strong high up over southeastern Canada, and this has nowhere to go. It's kind of stuck in that blocking pattern in the upper part of the atmosphere over the southeastern states. We'll go out a little bit farther in time. Not much change during the midweek, and here we go finally by next Thursday. This is a week from right now. Still have high pressure to the north and the low pressure that really began with the remnants of Francine sitting over the South Atlantic coastline all the way a week from now, next Thursday. Eventually, it can make a move to the north here. We'll just have to wait and see on that. But here we go all the way out into the beginning of next week, and this is Saturday, September 21st, and we'll go out another day here. This is the end of the time period for the Canadian model run. So 10 days out, still have this very, very strong high pressure system parked over the Hudson Bay region of Canada, and it's just not allowing this system to move to the north. We'll have to see over the next several days if in fact it can make some kind of a push, at least perhaps into the southern part of the Mid-Atlantic region. Well, by the way, the Mid-Atlantic region has been very, very dry, so any rainfall from that system later next week would be beneficial, would be welcome. Meanwhile, strong upper level low here over the interior part of the western U.S. There are liable to be some snow associated with that and some of those higher elevations of the Rocky Mountain states. Well, let's now walk through the surface forecast maps of the Zero-Z Canadian model run. Again, we start off the day here on Thursday with a strong low pressure tropical depression classification right now over southern Mississippi. This system came ashore as a strong Category 1 hurricane over the central part of the Louisiana coastline late yesterday. Produced some tremendous rainfall across Louisiana and hurricane force winds. Now is producing some heavy rainfall all the way to the east, to the eastern part of the Panhandle region of Florida, and all the way to the north into the Tennessee Valley. We'll move forward here, and it just grinds to a halt in its northward progression over the Tennessee Valley by tomorrow. And at that point, we start to look towards right here, the South Atlantic coastline here, somewhere off the South Carolina coastline. This weekend, low pressure will form. There is plenty of moisture for the system to work with. Tropical moisture just feeding in from the western part of the Atlantic Ocean, and still exists all the way out to the Tennessee Valley at this time. And here we go by the time we get to Monday morning. Notice surface high off the New England coastline. A lot of moisture gathering together here over the South Atlantic coastline early next week. Now, can it make a move to the north? It's going to have some difficulty, but it's gradually pushing to the north using this latest run of the Canadian model here by the middle of next week. This is next Wednesday, and indeed some rainfall makes it into at least the southern part of the Mid-Atlantic region by the middle part of next week. And given the fact that we have a blocking pattern in the atmosphere that looks like it'll continue to exist all the way through next week, Where it does eventually start to rain, it may stick around for several days because of the blocking nature of the atmosphere. In other words, if you're stuck under a high pressure area, you may be stuck for several days with good weather. If you're stuck in an area of rain in this kind of a pattern, this kind of a blocking pattern, you may be stuck with several days of rain. So here we go. By the middle part of next week, watch this area right here. It will not improve that much. That rain sticks around Thursday, sticks around all the way into Friday, and still some low pressure reflected along the South Atlantic coastline at the end of next week now. We'll go all the way out into the next week, and this is September 21st, and it's depicting some heavy rainfall here, for example, over the Delmarva Peninsula. It certainly is a possibility. This is way far out there in the speculation phase as to the location, but this kind of a pattern not only can end up with some rainfall as far north as the Mid-Atlantic region, but once it moves in, it could stick around for several days. Again, you still have this strong high pressure up here to the north, reluctant to give up its ground. So any area that gets into the moisture field of this tropical system later next week could actually experience rainfall for several days. Again, this is the beginning part of not this weekend, but next weekend, September 21st. So a lot going on in the eastern part of the nation for the next several days. Francine grinds to a halt over the Tennessee Valley, and then we'll watch the South Atlantic coastline for development of low pressure early next week, and it will be a slow mover up along the East Coast thanks to that very, very strong and large high pressure system sitting over the southeastern part of Canada. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Orion.